Welcome back to Eliances Heroes, where heroes in business align. To be part of our super community and find out more about Eliances, visit www.Eliances.com.
That's right. We're back. Oh my gosh, so much activity going on. Thank you to all of our incredible listeners and viewers. Thanks too for the feedback we continue to have when I had on Dr. John DeMartini and also General Wesley Clark. Feedback keeps coming in. You know where to go. Eliances.com, Eliances.com, the only place where entrepreneurs align. And we have with us Rob Moore today. He is the founder of Disruptive Entrepreneur, author of not one, not 10, 18 books, not one world record, but 2 world records. And you can be reached at robmoore.com, ROBMOORE.com. And of course, we've got it down here. So with that, Rob, let's get started. First of all, what's this about 2 world records? Like, what are those records for?
So I broke the world record for the longest public speech. Feels like decades ago now. And then I broke the world record for the longest team public speech with 4 of my business partners. So the individual speech was 47 and a half hours straight. And then the team world record was 125 hours. And I spoke about business and entrepreneurship because talking is something my wife tells me I'm very good at.
So how do you do that? How do you do that? And I mean, like that long a time, like what about going to the bathroom?
Yeah. So if you need the toilet, you're allowed to go in and come back. Which
okay,
you know,
so that's good. So you didn't have to you didn't have to have the wireless mic on the restroom and you need to keep talking.
Every speaker has done that where they've accidentally left their microphone on. No, they allowed me, the 30 seconds or the minute required. But other than that, you just have to keep talking. And if you stop, because on about hour 37, let's say, I got very confused, had out-of-body experiences. My voice completely went. I'd be just stood on the stage and I'd just go quiet and the audience would be like, Rob, you've got to talk.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
wow.
It was quite, I mean, I naively thought, because I've been a public speaker for many years and, I've been an entrepreneur for many years. I'll walk this will be easy. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done.
Wow. So what's your favorite thing to talk about since you've been doing this, giving lectures and presentation? Like what's your favorite top subject?
I'd probably say business and entrepreneurship. And with what's happened in the world since the lockdown, I would probably say specifically helping people start their side hustle, part-time, full-time, or big time, being an entrepreneur and taking control of their own finances. So I, for example, wrote the UK's best-selling book on money, which is called Money. And in the UK, we're a bit reserved about money, David, and we don't really like to talk about it. And you can't be successful and talk about how much money you've made. That's distasteful. And I'm trying to change that narrative by saying that, you can be polite and respectful and be rich. So business, money, entrepreneurship, that's what I love to talk about.
So Rob, how can we make money? Like what's one of the best side hustles now of what you've seen?
I think membership sites, David, because I would challenge everyone listening that you have a passion that you could turn into a profession. You have ideas that you could turn into income. You have content that you could turn into cash flow. And you don't have to be an entrepreneur of 18 years or done 1,000 episodes on your podcast to start. You might be a martial artist. You might be good at pub quizzes, for example. Pub quizzes are huge in the UK, but something that that others don't. You can build a membership site, put weekly content in it. You can charge $10 or $30 a month. And before I have 10,000 members of my rob.team, David, and I only really started that from lockdown. So membership sites is a great way to turn what you know into cash flow.
Excellent. That's a lot of members.
Well, it's all right. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. All right. So why do I need to be concerned if I were to challenge you in a fight?
Well, you wouldn't have been concerned at all 14 weeks ago, David, because I'm a lover, not a fighter. But someone challenged me to a fight on a podcast. And I naively said yes. That's become a £100,000 bet. We've already sold 1,200 tickets. My sales team are on the undercard. His sales team are on the undercard. And it's grown legs. And now there's this live charity boxing match on July the 1st. And I'm the main attraction.
All right. I mean, is the guy bigger than you?
Yes.
All right.
A lot bigger. Nervous enough to take it seriously, but I believe in myself. I'll be faster. I'll be fitter. I'll be technically better. But it's definitely, as you know, David, being an entrepreneur and being a creator is challenging at times. I like the saying, hard now, easy later. Sure. So the way I'm training is I'm training so hard now that hopefully the fight will be easier.
Right. Who are you fighting?
His name is Samuel Leeds. He's another property guy in the UK. We have the biggest property training company in the UK, and he's an up and coming upstart. And I think that's why he challenged me. He's a bit younger than me as well.
Uh-oh. All right. Well, eat healthy too. That's my tip.
Yes.
All right. So again, we've got with us Rob Moore. He's the founder of Disruptive Entrepreneur, author of 18 books, two-time world record speaker. He can be reached at robmoore.com, ROBMOORE.com. You're listening, watching me, David Kogan, host of the Eliances Hero Show. Make sure that you go to Eliances.com. That's ELIANCES.com, the only place where entrepreneurs align. All right. So what's this thing about disruptive entrepreneur? What does that mean?
Well, I think being disruptive means changing what doesn't work anymore. It means being slightly ahead of the trends, maybe not too early. It means never standing still. It means pushing boundaries. Often what needs to be disrupted is not just a market like Airbnb disrupted hotels and Uber disrupted taxis, as we call them in the UK. But often what needs to be disrupted is yourself, your old habits, your old behaviors, your fears, your doubts, the fact that you'd have loved to have started a business, but you haven't done it for 20 years. So, I often say that disrupting yourself is the most important disruption.
Excellent. Now you talked about property. You mentioned, property and that. What's your crystal ball say about what's going on? I mean, it seems like in the world, and how do we get past all of this clutter that we keep hearing within the news?
Yeah, well, they're two separate questions to me, clutter in the news and then real estate. Real estate has been proven to work in England for nearly 1,000 years. The total value of all land and real estate in the UK in 1088 was £1 million. And now, I have more than that in one house. I have 340 properties, 1,350 tenants. And for 17 years, my properties have been going up and my rents have been going up. And whether it's partnerships or other people's money or my money, I park my long-term wealth into property. And I think in most countries in the world that are developed, real estate works. In terms of the news, I just think most of the news is a distraction, David, because it's sensationalized. It's never, hey, today was normal. Or, hey, listen to this great story about a dog that, I don't know, gave its owner a hug. It's all bad news. It's all sensationalist. It's all extreme. And that might sell news, but there's too much fear in the media, David. And certainly when it comes to money and inflation and interest rates and central banks and how they control fiat currency and money supply, it's all overwhelming and it can make you feel trapped. This is why I also think, as well as being a real estate investor, you need to be an entrepreneur, even if it's a side hustle, because you can now take all the tax breaks. There's a lot of tax breaks in real estate and entrepreneurship, and you're not so beholden, to the government or an employer who, right now with inflation so high, it's very difficult just to pay your gas and electric.
Absolutely. Well, with all the activities you've got going on, and again, and you've even training for the fight and stuff, how do you manage it all? How do you manage? You manage the properties, you've got the membership site, you've got the fight coming up, and I'm sure many other things.
Well, I have nearly 150 staff, David, so that certainly helps. But people listening who don't just say, oh, well, I don't, so I can't. You had my dear friend, Dr. John DeMartini on, and he talks very much about values and prioritizing, what you want to do with your life according to your highest values. So anyone who's got a lot on, just list what you're doing that's most important to you and go down from there and spend more of your time on the things that are most important. And then what's not important to you, you delegate, you outsource. You could get yourself a virtual assistant, for example. So it's funny, David, because when I'm the most busy, my companies generally don't do as well as they could. And then when I'm the least busy, which means I've got significant and sufficient leverage and I've got all my staff working effectively, we tend to do very well. And since I've taken this fight on, I've not really been very busy at work, but we've had our best 5-month run, I think, since we started 17 years ago. We're on for possibly a 25 million year, which we've not done before in the training business. And I'm working less than I've worked for many years. So delegation, outsourcing, and managing priority helps.
That's fabulous. Congratulations on everything. Great news to hear and stuff. We've got time. I think it's important too, in regards to children and stuff, some of the secrets that you would share. You've been successful at what you've been doing. There's a lot of children that aim to be, I want to be good at something, make my mark, right? And they hear and they look at all the various sports figures and all that. Kind of what's some secrets you could share about, young adults that are out there that want to go ahead and do their mark and do something?
So when I was in my teens and early 20s, I was so full of fear. And I was so full of the fear of failure and what other people would think about me. And if I could go back and put an arm around my younger self, I would just say, it doesn't matter what other people think. Take some risks. You're young. You can recover from a failure or 2 or 3. And I have this saying that I say at the end of all of my content. I've said it thousands of times. If you don't risk anything, you risk everything. So take that risk. Be bold and brave. Don't worry about what other people think. But then on the other side of that, because here's a bit of a paradox, you have time. So be patient, because when we're younger, we're more impatient, and we look at these successful people and we think, I want to be like that. And we work hard for 2 or 3 months or a year, and then we get demotivated because we didn't achieve that, but they might have been doing that for 10 or 20 years. So stay patient, be consistent, but take some risks. And the final thing is, I think we forget to have fun. Like, how lucky are we to be alive? We've got infinite space and time. And yet we're here. I'm so grateful and lucky to be here with David on this show and being connected by Mark. And I think life goes so quick, and then it's over and we forget to smell the roses and enjoy the journey.
Well said. Risks and have fun. Well, Rob, thank you again, too. A shout out to Mark Victor Hansen for nominating you to be on the show. You saw where you wanted to go. You created the reality, and now you help others see and do as well. That's a hero. Rob Moore, founder of Disruptive Entrepreneur, author of 18 books, 2-time world record speaker. Check him out at the fight coming up. Make sure you go to robmoore.com. This has been David Kogan with the Eliances Hero Show. Got to dance with you too, Rob. That's part of it.